Good morning, everybody. As we go to the Chittas of today, we're holding. Good morning, everybody. As we are holding on chapter 2, verse 31. Today is Friday, the 8th day of Hayem Hashem, and God said a light to me. Behold, I have begun taste to give, to deliver the fanecha before you. I've given you Sichain and his land. Hachel Rosh. Begin to drive them out. L'resher Sateh, so you could inherit his land. Rashi says, God forced down the gardens of the angels of the Amorites from above, beneath Moshe's feet, so to say, and made him tread upon his neck. Verse 32, Sicha went out against us, him and his entire nation, to war did they go out, at Yahotza. Rashi says, he didn't send Oig to assist him. This teaches us that they did not require each other's assistance because they were extremely powerful nations. And God gave it to us before us. And we smote him, Vesbanav and his children, Veskalama and his entire nation. It's really written Benoi, his child, Shahaya ben Giber Kamersi, because his son was as strong as he was. Verse 34, Anilkas Kalanov, we conquered the entire cities. Beisahi at that time. But Nachrim is called Ir Misim, and we destroyed every city. Nashim Vetaf Lishan, we killed every man, woman, and child, and we left over no survivors. She says the man, which the man referred to the spoils taken from Sichain. It says Bazaznu lanu in verse 35, expression denoting plunder, because it was precious to them that every man plundered for himself. When they came to the spoils of Oiga, however, we were already satisfied in full. And it was contemptible in our eyes. They tore it to pieces and threw away the cattle and the garments. They took on the silver and the gold. Therefore, it says, which is a expression of contempt. It also expounded in Sifri and the beginning of the chapter, and Israel dwelt in Shittim. Raka behema bazaznu lanu. Verse 35, the cattle we took as for prey. And unto ourselves with the spoils of the cities that we have taken. Which is at the edge of the valley of Arnon. In the cities that were in the valley. Gilad until the Gilad. There was not a city. Not a city too high for us. As Akel Nas Hashem Lefanenu, God gave us all these lands. Rak, besides the land of Bnei, besides the land of Amma in Velikarafta Yod, we did not come near. Nacha Yabik, this is the side of the river of Yabik, V'Ari Ahor, and the cities of the hills. Whatever God commanded us. Rashi says, Yad Nacha Yagbog, the area besides the brook of Yagbog. And whatever God commanded us not to conquer. She says, meaning not to conquer. Chapter 3, verse number 1. And then we turned and we went up towards Bashan. And Og, the king of Bashan, came out against us. Him and his entire nation, to war. Edrei to Edrei. She says the whole northern direction, from the wilderness towards Canaan, Verse number 2, Vayem Hashem Elai, and God said to me, Al Tira, he said, don't be afraid to live. Because I put it in your hands. The entire nation. I say in the entire land. And you should do to him what you did to Sichain. Melech HaMeli, the king of the Amorites, which is living in the city of Cheshbon. So now she says, why suddenly over here that God said, don't be afraid of him. Al Tira Isai. In the case of Sichon, it's not necessary to don't fear him. But in the case of Oig, Moshe Rabbeinu was afraid. Why? Because Oig had a merit. Oig had a merit. And Moshe Rabbeinu was afraid. And he knows when the person has a merit, for whatever reason, over here, Oig did a schis, did a merit, because he helped Avram Avinu. As it says, the fugitive came to Avram to tell him about Lot, his cousin. So here, Oig did a favor to Avram Avinu, and Moshe Rabbeinu was afraid of that favor. And therefore, the Abishah says, don't worry, he has been already repaid for his favors. And God put the entire that city in that country into our hands. Even Oig Melech HaBashan, Oig was a giant. Oig lived, according to the Medrash, Oig lived from the time of the flood. He was extremely an old man, an extremely a powerful man, and extremely a tall man. It's called the entire nation. We destroyed the entire area. Nilka, that's called Alabesa. And we conquered all the cities at that time. There was not a city or a town that we did not take. Shishim Ir. Bashan had 60 cities in that country. Of Argiv, the king of Bashan. She says the territory of Argiv, this rendered in Tigrim called Beis Pelach, Tarachuna, province of Tarachuna. I saw the Tigrim Yishalmi in Megillah Sesa, which calls the place Tarachunin. Hence, I drive this from Tevel Argiv, means the province of royal palaces. The name of the province is called after its name. Consequently, I learned that the province of Argiv is the province of the king's palace, meaning the province of which the kingdom was named. Similarly, Argiv is found it's found later in the book of Kings. Malachim means near the king's palace. Pekah, the son of Ramlah, killed Pekah, the son of Menachem. You have to look it up in Malachim, you'll see more about this place called Argiv. Verse 5, all these cities were fortified with high walls. They had double doors and a bolt. Levad Ma'are Aprisi, in addition to the great many unwalled cities. Rashi is the unconfined and open, meaning without any wall. Similar to Jerusalem will be inhabited like a walled town. We utterly destroyed these places, like we did to Sichon, the king of Cheshbon. We destroyed every city. We killed men, women, and children. All the beasts and the spoils of the city we took for ourselves. We took the land of these, the hands of the two kings of the Amorites, which was on the other side of the Jordan, Menachal, Arnon, the brook of Arnon to Mount Hermon. Miyad means from their possessions. Verse number 9, in Sidon, it used to call Chemer and Sidon, and the Amorites called it Snir. As in other passages, states until Mount Sion, which is Hermon. So we see that it had 4 names: Hermon, Sidon, Sinir, and Sion. Why is it necessary for all of them to be written in the Torah? To extol the praise of the land of Israel, that there were 4 kingdoms priding themselves in one, saying, I shall be called by its name. And another said, it shall be called by her name. So ultimately came the land, part of the land of Eretz Yisrael. Sneer means snow. So Mount Hermon had a lot of snow till today. Verse number 10. All the cities of the plain and all of Gilad. As Chola Bashan and all of Bashan of Silcha. Till Silcha, Vaidrei, and Edrei. Ari Mamlechas Oig Bashan. These were the cities of the kingdoms of Oig of Bashan. Because only Oig, the king of Bashan, was left in the remnants of the giants. In the Asher Basil, his bedstead was a bedstead of iron. It's not. Is it not in Rabbah of the children of Ammon? Teisha Ames Arka V'Aba Ames Rachbe V'Ames Ish. 9 cubits was its length. 4 cubits is its breadth, according to the cubits of man. Rashi says, Amraphel allies the kings of Ashkelon, and Oig escaped from the battle, as it says, the fugitive came, and he was Oig. Ba'amas Ish, according to the cubit of Oig, because we know that it says that Oig Melech HaBashan was extremely tall, that Moshe Rabbeinu killed him. Moshe Rabbeinu was 10 amas, like 15 feet, let's say, and his stick was 10 amas, was 15 feet, that's 30 feet, and he jumped 10 amas, which was another 15 feet, so that's 45 feet, and he hit the ankle of Oig, he hit his ankle. So that means up to his ankle is 45 feet, at least. So you can imagine how tall Oig Melech HaBashan was. So that's why when it says over here it was 9 amas his bed, 9 amas is not such a, I mean, it's a pretty big bed. 9 amas bed is like a 45, 9 amas is like, again, it's like, it's between 15 feet bed. So it's a pretty big bed, but not as big as Oig was. Oig was much bigger. As I just said, the Medrash says that Moshe Rabbeinu jumped 45, Moshe Rabbeinu hit him in his ankle, which was 45 feet from the ground, at least 45 feet or even taller. So that means Oig Melech HaBashan himself was extremely, to his head, he was extremely a tall man. Verse number 12. And in this land which we possessed at that time, which is in the brook of Arnon, Gilad, and half of the Mount Gilad, and all its cities, I gave them to Ruvain and to Gad. So this is all the land of the southern side of the Jordan, the one mentioned above, the brook of Arnon, the Mount Hermon. This is not connected. The next one, Arer, which is in the brook of Arnon, it's the beginning of the verse, but its conclusion, namely, I gave Ruvain and to Gad, regarding the possession of it, was from the brook of Arnon to the Mount of Hermon. Verse 13, and the rest of the Gilon and all the Bashan of the kingdom, I gave it to the others, to the other tribe, the half of tribe of Menashe. Who you could add to the Rephaim, which was called the land of Rephaim. So that was which I gave to Avraham Avinu, the Eibishter gave now to Menashe. Yair Menashe Lakas Kochela Agev. Yair, the son of Menashe, took the territory of Agev at Givul Agev Shuni Hagushti until the boundaries of Gushrites, Akosi. And he called it his name as Habashan. He called that area, the Bashan, after his own name. He called it Chaves Yair, the villages of Yair. Ad Hayem Hazeh, until this. That completes the Chumash for today. We continue the Tanya of the day. We're in the middle of the first letter of the Alter Rebbe, Igeras HaKodesh. The letters of the Alter Rebbe were still in the middle of the first letter that he wrote. Not the first letter he wrote, the first letter in the Tanya that we have. And the Alter Rebbe is talking about the concept of Chager Ba'ez Masnayim. It says, and I looked it up later, the loins. It's not the loins actually is in the pelvic area, which that's the expression. He gritted his loins, which takes the strength, gives strength to the entire upper body. It's not. I said that yesterday. The hips. There was a mistake. The loins are between the rib cage and the pelvic area, and that's what holds up the entire upper part of the body. So when that's an expression in Chassidus and Kabbalah, that's the expression when it says in the Eishes Chayil, or it says that also that we grit our loins, we strengthen our loins, which means to strengthen our emunah. That's how Kabbalah translates, to strengthen our emunah. So the concept of love of God is the right hand, the concept of fear of God is the left hand, and the concept of giving strength to our loins means to give strength to the Ava and Yira, to give power to love and fear of God, which comes through emunah. Now, how does one intensify, strengthens his faith? But what gives power and strength to our loins within the concept of faith, to support and sustain the head, the intellect, the contemplation of God's greatness, and the arms, which is the love and fear of God. So here the Alter Rebbe tells us, this comes through the learning the laws of the Torah. Torah sheba'al peh, and more specifically the oral law, but to learn the laws, the concept of laws of Torah. Sheba'al peh. So the Torah is the food that nourishes the soul's faith. She bechinas gilui ratzon elyon, because the oral law, the oral Torah, is the manifestation of God's supreme will. So here the Alter Rebbe writes the oral Torah explanation, only the oral Torah. We know that there's Torah Shebiksav, there's the written law, which is the 5 books of Moses, and the rest of the Tanakh. And then you have the Torah Sheba'al Peh, and then you have the oral law, which was given at the same time that the written law was given. It was thus written down much later, generations later. The Gemara was written, the Mishnah was written down by Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi, which was after the destruction of the first temple. And it was ultimately written down later on, 400 or 500 years after the destruction of the temple. In the year around 400 was written the Gemara. The Talmud was ultimately written down by the sages of the Babylonian sages. So now and from that came the Shulchan Aruch, the code of Jewish law of Yosef Karo, that wrote the oral law that ultimately was written. The Alter Rebbe wrote an oral law, and we have Mishnah Berurah, and we have the small Shulchan Aruch, etc. So the oral Torah manifestly reveals the supreme will in all its ramifications, self-understood, that without the oral Torah, we would not know what the true will of God is. On the mitzvah for tefillah, for example, it's written in the Torah, merrily you shall bind them upon your hand, and they shall remind as a reminder between your eyes. So without the oral law, you would not have any idea what this means. It is not at all clear exactly what shall be bound and how shall it serve as a sign, and precisely where it's placed between your eyes. All of these particulars are elaborated in the oral law. You need Kodesh Shabbat. You need to learn Gemara. You need to learn Halacha. You need to learn Jewish law, Shulchan Aruch. It is there that God says, it is there that where we find the specifics of the real will of God. So if you take away, God forbid, take away the oral law, Chas v'Shalom, you have nothing. You don't have any Torah. You have no meaning to the Torah. Likewise, with all other commandments, without the oral law, because the oral law reveals the supreme will, as we'll explain in more detail below. At the way to the letter, epistle number 29, We're holding number 1 over here. The Alter Rebbe now goes on to say that Torah may be indeed be said to be a revelation of God's will, a level transcending even his wisdom. So notwithstanding the fact that the Torah proceeds from Chachma, right? Without Chachma, without the Torah Shebeksav, you don't have Torah Shebal Peh. So really, in this concept, Torah Shebeksav, the written law, is the wisdom of God. But to understand the wisdom of God, you need Torah Shebal Peh, meaning from divine wisdom. So really, Torah is the wisdom of God. This is because the Torah merely proceeds, unfolds from Chachma, wisdom. It is merely revealed through divine wisdom. So that's the wisdom of God. But what is the true will of God? But the true source of God's wisdom is above and beyond wisdom. And we call that in Kabbalah, which is called the will of God. Baruch Hu, blessed is he. So that's why we learned, remember we learned the Yud Kei Vav Kei. The Yud is symbolic in Kabbalah. The Yud shows them the Chachma, and the Kaitzai, the thorn, so to say, the thing that goes above the Yud, it expresses the concept of God's will. As it's written, it's written in the following in the following proof text. Decided here, it illustrates the effect of Torah upon the soul. As with a shield, you crown the righteous with favor. The word here translated favor is ratzain, the same word which is will. Tatsina ratzain tatrena. That the ratzain is the crown. That's why in Kabbalah, ratzain is the crown. Ratzain crowns the head. The head is chachma, and the ratzain crowns it. So too the study of Torah encompasses that protects the soul for a student who studies Torah. So especially Torah Shebal Peh, especially the will of God. So when you learn Torah Shebeksav, you learn the written law, you learn the knowledge, the wisdom of God. And through learning Torah Shebal Peh, you will understand the ratzain of the knowledge of God. What is the will in God's wisdom? It's like the crown, an example of a crown on a king's head, which is placed above the brains, which are within the head. So that's the crown, the ratzain. Since the study of the oral law reveals God's will, meaning the crown that transcends the wisdom, it is therefore able to give strength to faith, whose purpose is to support the head. So that's why, now we understand why ratzain, which is higher than chachma, gives strength to chachma itself. So that's why faith, which is above intellect, gives strength to intellect, which it comes to teach us an important thing, and that is we shouldn't have blind faith. We should have faith that gives strength to our intellect. We need to be able to have intellect and then go to faith that gives a greater strength to us into our intellect, and then go deeper in faith, which will create a greater intellect, and so forth and so forth and so on. It continues. Intellect and faith continue to help one another. We are inspired by our faith to have greater intellect. And our greater intellect inspires us to go deeper in our faith. So the head, meaning the intellect, and even the arms, which is, as we mentioned before, symbolic to the love and fear of God, which is the emotions. And this is what it's also, this teaching is parallel, similar to the explanation of the verse. Eshet Chayil, a woman of valor, Ateres Baila, is the crown of her husband. So even though in Kabbalah we have that chachma, a man is chachma, and a woman is bina. So seemingly the woman is after is lower than the level of her, but the truth is, the woman is the one that crowns her husband. The woman is the one that brings out this chachma, gives chachma its capability, and therefore the woman, the isha in this aspect, is greater. She crowns her husband. So the Alter Rebbe explains below. We'll learn this later more in chapter in the letter 29. That a woman of valor. Well, who is the woman? Is the oral Torah. The written Torah is chachma, is the man. The oral Torah is the woman. But the woman, the oral Torah, Torah Shabbat, the oral law, crowns the wisdom, crowns even the written law. Because without the oral law, without the Isha, you don't have the purpose of the man. So the woman crowns her husband, because even though the husband, who in this aspect, chachma, seemingly to be more precious, more the beginning of everything, but the truth is, the ratzah, the will, is the what ultimately will crown, gives the purpose to the wisdom, and gives excitement to the wisdom, gives focus to the wisdom, what the true will of each and every of God is, and ultimate of each and every person. So that's why it's numerous laws that crown her husband, which over here in Kabbalah, it means the intellectual faculty of Chacham. Therefore, it says, it says, whoever, likewise we call the teaching, whoever studies Torah, law, every day is assured life in the world to come. It's important to learn Gemara. It's important to learn halacha, the oral law. For it's a study of the oral Torah that enables one to be a receptive of divine revelation in the world to come. As we're going to explain later, it's going to be a beautiful letter. We'll have to wait for that. The letter, chapter in Epistle 29, the 29th letter in the Gerasa Kodesh, in these letters. This then is the meaning. She grids her loins with strength. Ein ois ala Torah, there's no strength but Torah. Shinekenes oi koyach v'ois, for it gives power and strength lamasnayim, which is to the loins, which is the concept of faith. Hachagurim uvlashaber, which are gridded and embodied in it. Lachazik ze'aseh, to fortify its arms. Hey, the defila v'rechime, which in Kabbalah, the arms are namely the intellectual generated or innate or in love. Each man each person according to his measure. So one individual generates a love and awe of God through his own intellectual endeavors, through the study of and meditation. Another marriage does an inborn reservoir of love and awe. In all cases, however, these spiritual emotions are strengthened by the study of Torah, the oral law. In the spirit of above, we can understand the metaphor of the verse. She grids her loins with strength. Just as a warrior gathers strength by gridding his loins, by strengthening his faith, so does the soul become powerful by being enveloped and with the encompassing radiance of the divine light, which is drawn down upon it from the supreme will that is revealed in Torah Shabbat, in the law of Torah. As regarding to supporting and sustaining the head of the soul, meaning the intellect that contemplates. So how does one strengthen that? Amma Shleima, like King Solomon said, she perceives that her trade is good. And I will explain, and this metaphor is explained elsewhere. What mainly concerns the Alter Rebbe is not the seichel in this letter. The Alter Rebbe is not talking about the seichel, about intellect. The Alter Rebbe over here wants to talk more about faith in this letter. Alter Rebbe he wants to talk about the masnayim, loins, in order to arouse a love and fear of God. as we'll still explain, the ideal time for this is in prayer. And that's what the Alter Rebbe in this letter wants to bring out. So he puts in brackets that will be explained in other places what is, because there's Torah and Tefillah. There are two pillars, right? There are three pillars, and the world stands on ala Torah, on the learning of Torah, ala Avodah, on the service of God, which is usually prayer, while the acts of kindness. So over here, the Alter Rebbe wants to talk about the concept of Avodah, the power of faith, which is the concept of prayer. So that's where we express our faith, in the prayer, where we pray to God, because that's where we give ourselves over to God. That's the whole concept of prayer. Prayer, as Chassidus says, means I'm tafel, I'm secondary. That's really the concept of prayer. Learning can make a person egotistical, because he gains knowledge. But prayer, if the true aspect of prayer is total self-nullification. Prayer means I need God. It's through supplication. Prayer means it's tachanunim, where I beg God. That's true, the aspect of prayer, praise of God and begging God. That means it's not through my intellect, but through totally my emotion, which that's why the prayer is the concept of the heart. So we have two concepts, two major organs in our body, which is symbolic to two major pillars, the brain and the heart, which truthfully, without each one of them, you cannot survive. So too, you can't survive without Torah, and you can't survive without prayer. But each one of them is symbolic to somebody else. It's another concept. Prayer is to contemplation, through one's intellect, and it's important to him. It's truly important to him, because everybody's intellect is different. Some people are smarter and some people are not so smart. Some people have greater capacities of intellect and some people don't. And it's all important to his capacity. Prayer is the importance of God. It's not important to you. So everybody should pray. Everybody should pray together. That's why the whole concept of Beis HaKnesses is when we come to pray together. We come to pray together because we're all equal before God. And that's why it says, we say, know who before you stand. So when we come to stand before God, it's not important that one person is the rabbi and the other person is the layman. One person is knowledgeable and the other person, because when we stand before God, it's not important our intellect. It's important our service of the heart. When it comes to the service of the heart, we're all equal to God, because we're all nullified before God. And that's why it intensifies our faith in God. Because when it comes to the faith of God, it's not based on our intellect. It's based on going above our intellect. And each and every one of us needs to go above our intellect and serve the Eibishter with our heart. So, so that's why, however, the occasion, in a time of strengthening, fortifying the arms, spiritual emotion, and even the head, which is the intellect, since we're looking for the Ratzon to awaken up that thing, the concept of that something, faith, that will be uplifting for my emotions, even for my brain, my intellect, that's the time of prayer. Because what is prayer? It's a time of compassion. The Eis Ratzon, a time of goodwill. Lamaila above. That's the time of prayer. That's why even prayer has a time. Tefillah Shachris has a time. It's in the daytime. If you want to be more specific, it's at a certain time of the day. Try to accomplish prayer in a certain time of the day. Why? Because it's an Eis Ratzon Lamaila. It's a good, auspicious time above. It's the goodwill. Over here, you see the name, we're saying word Ratzon. Why is it a goodwill above? Because that's the way the Ratzon Havayis, that's the will of God. So since the supreme will strengthen the arms and heads, it follows that the time of prayer, an hour of favor, when the supreme will is manifest, in especially propitious time to strengthen both one's intellectual grasp of godliness and one's spiritual emotion. Prayer is thus the ideal opportunity to meditate upon the greatness of God and to create within oneself a feeling of awe and love. It's a great opportunity, especially prayer in B'tzibur, when we daven together. Because a tzibur, actually, our sages said, a tzibur stands for tzaddik, beinin, and rishayim. A tzibur stands for that we're all equal, whether we're righteous, we're wicked, or we're intermediary people. We all stand before God in a moment of compassion, to awaken God's compassion. And it's a moment of compassion. Therefore, says the Alter Rebbe, this is what I ask for those who seek close to God. Yavinu v'yaskilu. Let them both understand and contemplate. Uliyas liskanim ben any name. It should be like a remembrance between the eyes. Akol mashikasafti aleim. All that I wrote to them last year, b'chlal u'b'frat be'inyan kavonas atfilah, especially with respect to devout concentration during prayer, ma'umka deliba, from the depth of their heart. Yom yom yizrshur Hashem, day after day, let them seek God and desire to cleave to Him, b'chol libam, with all their heart, u'b'chol nafsham, with all their souls. V'nafsham tipshkaf kamayim, let them pour out their souls like water in prayer. Noichach b'nei Hashem, in the presence of God. U'kamayim rabbeinu, as our sages say about prayer. They taught in the Sifri, commenting in the word on the verse, and with all your soul, that prayer should be intense to the extent of pressing out the soul, meaning ad motzi nefesh, meaning until the soul bursts first and expresses itself with an outpouring of love of God. That's why we know the Alter Rebbe, it's brought down to Alter Rebbe himself, got extremely emotional in prayer. He got so emotional that he used to roll through the synagogue in prayer. He sort of say his whole body rolled. He was so intense. His prayer was so intense that it basically flared his whole body. So the liquid that's forced through a cracks, an absolutely full barrel, is no more than a trickle. Yet what forces it through it, the very fullness of the entire quantity of wine within, likewise pressing out the soul, refers to a state in which the entire essence of the soul is bursting forth with its love for God, yet only a trickle of this love is visible externally. And this is a beautiful bakosha, a beautiful desire that the Alter Rebbe wanted for each and every one of us to realize the importance of prayer and the importance of prayer with all our hearts. Shifchi kamayim Hashem, that we should be able to create, that we come to God in prayer, we lose ourselves to God in prayer. We give ourselves over to HaKadosh Baruch Hu totally in the aspect of our prayer. Very important, and that is that in Mitzvah, we're going into Tisha B'Av on this Shabbos, and Sunday also is Tisha B'Av, concerning the learning of Chitas, that we should learn tomorrow Chitas. We should do all our Chitas before 2 p.m. tomorrow. Of course, from 2 p.m. tomorrow till 2 p.m. on Sunday, you really shouldn't learn Torah, because Torah brings joy to us. So that's why we don't learn Torah on Tisha B'Av, because it's the Churban Beis Hamikdash, destruction of the temple, which is a very sad day to us. So therefore, you should do all your learning, whatever learning Torah you want to learn Torah, tomorrow you should do before 2 p.m. And then tomorrow at 2 p.m., on Sunday at 2 p.m., we'll learn Chitas together. If you want to come together on Sunday, this coming Sunday, we cannot do it at 8 a.m. because we don't learn Torah. And even when you come to Shul and you daven Shachris, we don't put on tefillin until Mincha time, which is going to be at 7:30. So we don't learn Torah until the afternoon on Sunday. So we will do the chitas if you want to come together on Sunday at 2 p.m. We'll do the chitas at 2 p.m. and then on Monday come back again at 8 a.m. So tomorrow's Tisha B'Av, it's Shabbos, it's a nitcha. So even though it's Tisha B'Av, we push it off till Sunday, and the fast day is Sunday, not tomorrow. And tomorrow night we say Eicha. We're going to daven Ma'ariv tomorrow night at Chabad after Shabbos at 9 p.m. And after that, we'll do the Eicha at around 9:15 p.m. And we sit on the floor and we do the Lamentations. And on Sunday, we daven, I said, at 8:30 a.m. But without tefillin, we'll do the Chitas at 2 p.m. And then we daven Mincha with tefillin. It's the only time of the year we daven Mincha and tefillin. And that's this coming Sunday. We do with tefillin at 7:30 p.m. The fast begins tomorrow night at around 8:05 p.m. Fast begins and it goes till around 8:40 p.m. on Sunday. So it's a 24-hour fast. And we shall have a wonderful Shabbos, first of all, and then a meaningful fast. And as I said, hopefully you'll do your chitas on Shabbos by yourself. You'll finish the Devarim, and you'll do the Tanya. And then make sure we'll get together Sunday at 2 p.m. We'll learn chitas. Today is the 8th day of the month. 1 second. Today is the 8th day of the month, which is chapter 44 through 48. And Tehillim and Psalms is chapter 44 through chapter 48. And you do the chitas of the day. I wish you all a wonderful Shabbos and a meaningful fast on Sunday, Saturday night and Sunday. May we hope and pray that Mashiach comes. And Ron says that these days will turn into days of joy and happiness. I wish you all a wonderful and beautiful Shabbos.